$2,000. To reach this third and final round, our lineup of fierce student competitors has survived 2 previous recorded rounds over the course of the 2021 academic year. However, they have not had to go it alone. More than a dozen industry alumni, mentors, and friends have generously volunteered their time and expertise to hone and perfect the presentations we will enjoy this evening. To give some perspective on the level of competition you can expect to witness tonight, the field started with 116 eligible seniors and graduate students competing from across the 23 campus CSU system beginning last December. 20 semifinalists were chosen by a panel of professionals, and subsequently 9 finalists were selected by 10 industry mentors for 3 months of one-on-one coaching, resulting in the original 5-minute creative pitches to be presented live for the first time anywhere this evening. So welcome, and now for a few words of congratulations from CTDA Department Chair, Professor Diana Winter. Diana?
Thank you very much, Dean Hoskin. Tonight, we present the culminating event of the first Here's the Pitch competition and series development workshop. Pitch competitions have, as you know, have become very fertile ground for discovering new talent and new voices across the country, from South by Southwest, New York, Toronto, and beyond. What makes Here's the Pitch so unique and so special is that it is a pitch competition by the CSU, of the CSU, and for the CSU students. The entities that came together tonight and across the semester for this 3-part adventure are CSU Entertainment Alliance, Cal State Northridge's Department of Cinema and Television Arts, the Mike Curb College of Arts, Media and Communication, headed by Dean Hoskin, the Entertainment Industry Institute. Thank you so much, Dean Hoskin, Todd Holmes, graduating senior Amos Burns, who worked tirelessly behind the scenes, and the individual that put all of this together, the very mighty and intrepid Professor Julianne Sipos. When speaking to, I have to tell you, when I spoke to colleagues at other universities and other film schools, and they bemoaned how sad it was that their students couldn't be in internships because of the pandemic, I would say, well, we had 150 students in internships, and all of that is because of Julie Sipos. There are no words to thank you. So this event celebrates your creativity, talking to the students, your creativity and your innovation. It celebrates the dedication of the faculty and administrators and the astounding generosity of our illustrious alumni and industry guests who have generously given of their time across the entire semester for these 3 events to mentor and shepherd and usher in a new wave of CSU talent into the very exclusive Hollywood industry. To the students, our CSUN alumni matadors that are here tonight are the movers and the shakers and the makers of our industry, that they are born and bred mostly here at CSUN and across the CSU, I hope will really clarify for all of you who have made it to this round just how valuable and to a certain degree elite your education here really is. Dave Kaplan is here, executive producer, showrunner of The Conners, Rizzoli and Isles. Brian Miller, Senior VP, General Manager of the Cartoon Network. Bob Bowden, EVP, Byron Allen Entertainment Studios. Kevin Clark, Image Award winner, producer of Dakar Foundation for the Performing Arts. Stephanie Drakovich, CEO of 44 Blue, a Peabody and Emmy Award winner. David Eilenberg, Chief Creative Officer of ITV. Carol Kirshner, head of the Writers Guild show running training program. The Knowlers, David and Wendy Knowlers, just a power couple. Between them, Carnival, Power, Big Love, Martin Lawrence Show, Friends, Star Trek Next Generation. Joss Mandel, Senior Production Exec for Amazon Kids. Michelle Vickery, EVP of Hallmark and Crown Media. Joe Fogelsang, CSU alum, VP of Development for the Gotham Group. And our illustrious judges tonight, Felicia Mary, creative exec producer and showrunner of Bigger, currently in its second season on BET, writer on the runaway hit on Netflix, 13 Reasons Why, Kat Rodriguez, VP, unscripted at Lifetime. There are not enough words to thank a level of commitment from all of these partners. This is what's called social capital, and it is priceless. So those of you that are in the final round, you are in a great place in history and in the history of television. The increase in viewing has been at an all-time high. It's been rising even before the pandemic. The demand for new programming and content has never been greater. But with the onset of the pandemic, stories and narratives have become a coping mechanism, an escape, a kind of self-care or therapy. And the consumer reports on streaming off the charts, okay? Streaming viewing up 36% just in the first quarter. In North America, the biggest gains are in double digits, but in South America and Europe, we're seeing triple digits. This is the landscape, because you are global citizens. This is the landscape where you will be making your mark. Demand for content with meaning has never been higher. Content with meaning that will help the entire planet get through one of the most historically lonely and isolated periods in history. So I also want to commend this remarkably talented and diverse group of finalists. You make everyone in the CSU, you make us all so terribly proud. We've all become dependent on home screens and serial cinema. Devices are getting bigger and are smaller, and they're also bigger. We had a very confusing Oscars, because people didn't know where to find the movies, but they were there. And to keep up with what's going on in cinema, our televisions have gotten bigger and bigger in every region in the world. So it's an historic time, but it is also your time to break out of the gate, to learn firsthand what it is to pitch in front of some very important decision makers, to know, for a few of you, what it is to win, and also what it is to come back strong, knowing that you will live to pitch another day, and that you will keep pitching until you hit a home run. Again, no words. I have no words to tell you how proud everyone in CTVA is of all of you. This is not an easy business. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's for those who yearn to create in the most powerful industry in the world. I'm proud of you because you are conscious, because you are aware, and you are using your gifts and your abilities to really make the world a better place. Thank you. Back to you, Julianne.
Dana, thank you so much. What an inspiring opening from both of you, actually, two great orators who are always difficult to follow under the best of circumstances, but also with that roster of sort of how you recapped the level of talent that we have here tonight, supporting the students and supporting this event. There really are no words. I do want to, before we introduce the first competitor, I do want to just sort of lay out for you how the event will go and how things will go after that, because I know you're all sort of on pins and needles, you're in competition and you've made it very far. But before I do that, I want to just say a quick congratulations from me personally to the finalists. I am also so proud of you, and to have been guiding you on this journey has been a true inspiration to me as an educator and as a fellow creator. Also, really, I need to give a special thanks to Jared Vashing and Michael Ryan, who really helped reach out to these partners of ours in the community, and our alumni, who without whom we have no network of support to reach out to. And of course, those the judges, all but one very, very special thanks to my classmate, my UCLA classmate, Felicia Mary, but also all of the alumni judges as well. We wanted to make sure that we had coverage of every genre and from every angle that is looking at this material. And so every one of you who stepped up to judge, and in particular, of course, the mentors, you have offered this gift of time that is the greatest gift of all that any of us have. And 3 months of your time, I couldn't even begin to put a price tag on it. And then finally, the assistants, everyone's assistant who helped coordinate this, your assistants, and in particular, my assistants and my APs, Amos, a future star, a current star, actually, and Renee, and anyone else I'm forgetting. So you will see, if you scroll up, if anyone does not have the link to the event program, it is, if you scroll up in the chat, and you can, anytime you want, click on it, and you will see the program and where we are in the evening. But just to quickly lay it out for you, we are going to first have the 9 competitors do their pitches, their live pitches with any visuals that they want to share. A number of them, their mentors are here generously once again this evening to introduce them, and we will set that up. And then when the competition is complete, we'll take just a very short break. You get a glass of water, whatever. We'll see how much time we have, probably 5 or 10 minutes, so that we can tabulate the judges' scores. They are, as we've talked about earlier, they are judging on the basis of overall creativity and originality, on marketplace viability of your pitch, and on, I'm missing something, Amos. And a third thing, that's execution. And I'm excited just on the previews that you gave me to see how you've executed this. Now, when we come back after the break, Professor Holmes, who is the head of our entertainment media management option, is going to host and moderate the panel discussion. All of you are welcome to either raise virtual hands or go ahead like it's a TikTok thing and write your questions in the stream, and we will moderate that and get to as many of those as Professor Holmes has. Once he's completed, let's say 5 minutes before the hour, Amos and I will come back and announce the grand prize winner and 2 runners up and what those prizes are, because we haven't been too specific with you about them, and there's some pretty exciting things. I forgot, by the way, just thank the California State University Entertainment Alliance, and I just thought of them because they paid for a lot of those prizes. Have been an amazing partner and an amazing group of individuals to work with, and again, could not have made this happen without them. Okay, so without further ado, we already have our 4 judges lined up. That's Dave Kaplan, executive producer, writer, and Dr. Dave Kaplan, PhD, executive producer and co-showrunner on ABC's The Conners. We have Felicia Mary, who is the creator, the co-executive producer, and the showrunner of Bigger, breakout hit on BET Plus. We have our alum, Brian Miller, who's executive producer of the newly announced adult animation and comedy Fired on Mars from HBO Max, starring Pete Davidson, and of course, a longtime SVP and general manager of Cartoon Network Studios, to name just one. And again, another alum, Kat Rodriguez, VP of Unscripted Development and Programming at Lifetime. I'm so excited to introduce our first mentor, who's going to introduce our first project to the judging panel. And that is because all of you know that I wanted to have this competition have an air of a game show about it. And I kind of modeled it a little bit after The Voice. And I have, for the king of game shows this evening, and I'm so excited to have Bob Bowden. He's the EVP of Production and Development for Byron Allen's Entertainment Studios and the reality programming governor of the Television Academy, and the executive producer of the nationally syndicated comedy celebrity game show Funny You Should Ask, which is currently in its 4th season. And I could go on and on for, I believe, about 30 years, Bob, but I would like to just introduce you and let you introduce the first of our competitors.
Thank you, Julianne, and please don't go on. Uh, it is my pleasure to introduce my mentee, Sybil Azer. Sybil is about to graduate with honors from CSUN's MFA screenwriting program and is currently a creative intern at Limelight, a top-tier production company responsible for films like Palm Springs. She is thrilled to have been selected for the highly esteemed Comedy Writing Summer 2021 Fellowship with the Television Academy Foundation, and is also set to be a summer intern at Will Gluck's Olive Bridge Entertainment. Before entering the graduate program, Sybil produced and co-directed the documentary Pushing Motherhood and previously worked as an actress. She looks forward to a long career as a screenwriter with an eye on expanding representation and is super excited to be a finalist here this evening. Sybil, take it away.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate your introduction and your mentorship. It's been fantastic. Okay, hello everyone. Bear with me as I do the technical part. Okay. Everybody hear me?
Yes.
All right, so dance. It's the world's oldest and most sacred art form. It's been said, if there are 7 billion people in the world, then there are 7 billion dancers. But what's it like to be a professional dancer? To dance in front of thousands of screaming fans behind the world's most famous artists? Like, what's going on in her head? Does she have cramps? Is she having an affair with the drummer? Is she about to get fired? What does it take to get a job like this? And what goes on behind the scenes? Well, I'm here to tell you. Yes, that's me. I was so lucky to be a professional dancer for many years and dance behind artists like Beyonce, Michael Jackson, Selena Gomez, Prince, Paula Abdul, and countless TV shows, films, commercials, and music videos. When my agent would call me for an audition, she would end with this, the dress code: hot and sexy, ready to dance, which is also the name of my show. I'm about to give you a backstage pass into a world that's never been explored in any other scripted show about dance. Hot and Sexy, Ready to Dance is a 30-minute dramedy about Matisse Hendricks, a fledgling professional dancer who must navigate the dance world of 1990s Hollywood in order to realize her dreams, find love, and become a responsible adult. Primed for a streaming or premium cable platform, Hot and Sexy combines the retro sensibilities and rawness of Glow, the insider's view and the glamour of Entourage, and the endearing quirkiness of Kimmy Schmidt. Do you guys remember the 90s, like when pop culture was on steroids and the Running Man and the Cabbage Patch were all the rage? When Rodney King and the Northridge earthquake tore the city apart. And just over the hill from this is this, a seedy area of North Hollywood, California, where our hero, Matisse Hendricks, lives with her mother. Let's meet our characters. Matisse Hendricks is 20. She's biracial, unpolished, socially awkward, yet she's a gifted dancer who is woke before it was a thing. Matisse doesn't care about fame. She just wants to make a living as a professional dancer, move out of her mother's house, and find true love. Matisse struggles to reconcile her feminist granola tendencies with the misogyny and sycophantic nature of the pre-Me Too entertainment industry. Frank Rossi, 22, a dance phenomenon and Matisse's best friend, who hides behind religion and his hometown girlfriend until he falls in love with a man for the first time. Frank is a native New Yorker whose East Coast attitude masks his desperate need to belong. He is flighty, old school Italian, secretive, but fiercely loyal to Matisse, the best he can be with all of those secrets. Barbara Hendricks, late 40s, Matisse's formerly adventurous turned paranoid white mother. In order to earn free rent, Barbara manages the triplex that she and Matisse live in, much to the dismay of the other residents. She wants Matisse to avoid killer bees and predatory men. Matisse and Barbara struggle to communicate, and Barbara's antics create messes that Matisse is forced to clean up. Tammy Choi, 24, a fellow dancer who's a good friend and a hard worker who overshares, undervalues herself, and lives for the hustle. She wants to book a steady dance gig and maximize her 401k. Other supporting characters include Brandy Potomac, 19, a former Miss Teen USA who is white, blonde, and busty, basically Matisse's worst nightmare. She came for the win and has her eye on an acting career and a rich husband. And we have Clayton Wilson, a temperamental choreographer who will become Matisse's mentor. He is out and proud, but is secretly battling HIV. His goal in life is to die a dance icon. The dance world is all about image, craft, competition, and community. Here, temptation is everywhere. In the pilot episode, Matisse wants nothing more than to quit her job as a mascot, dancing at a dead-end amusement park. When she catches wind of an audition for Search Party, a competition talent show, she recruits Tammy to audition as a duo. After Tammy betrays her and teams up with Brandy instead, Matisse must make it onto the show as a solo act. She's pitted against Frank, where they become unlikely friends, setting the stage for the next chapter of their lives. By the end of the first season, Matisse starts to make a name for herself and loses her virginity. Frank comes out to Matisse just as they both book the biggest job in town. They're hired on a tour to tour with the world's most famous pop star, setting the stage for season 2. Over the course of the series, we'll watch Matisse and the people in her world struggle to come into their own while dancing in some of the coolest dance jobs and also some of the most embarrassing. Friendships and morals will be tested, hearts will be broken, and mistakes will be made. Will Matisse conform to Hollywood's demands? Will Frank have the courage to live his truth? If ever there was a dance show with legs, this is it. Hot and Sexy, Ready to Dance is a character-driven coming-of-age story that will push the boundaries of identity, sexuality, morality, and ambition. Set on top of a banging 90s soundtrack, this show allows audiences of millions to peek behind the curtain and escape into a little-known world. So, let's dance.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so next up is Sam, and as Sam gets ready to screen share, I'm going to introduce his wonderful mentor, Kevin Clark, who we're so happy to have with us tonight. Kevin Clark is another man who is truly one of the hardest working men in Hollywood. He is first and foremost founder and president of the Dakar Foundation for the Performing Arts. He's an NAACP award-winning producer of For Love of Liberty. He's forging broad efforts in areas such as broadcast media, urban marketing, content delivery, and business development solutions, working with CAA, ATT, Sony, Wells Fargo, and the US Army. And I know that is to name just a very, very few and a very small percentage of what you do, Kevin. But thank you for being here. And I'm going to hand it over to you to introduce your mentee.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. I'm Kevin Clark from the Dakar Foundation and Dakar Interactive. I don't know that much about Sam because we've recently talked and met, but I feel his spirit, and I really believe that he is one of the storytellers who's going to break through. I hope he wins this competition, but I can tell you that he is a person that resonates with people who greenlight projects because he's authentic. He's really researched this because this is a psychophysical correspondence with dance, with hip hop, and all the things that create movement. So this project, I believe, is one that's going to, again, be picked up and developed by one of the streaming companies. And it's probably going to be an international hit because it really, again, uses the two most powerful languages, dance and music. So Sam, break a leg.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate it. Like we are in the dance block of the pitches, and it's a pleasure to go after that great pitch right there. And Kevin, thank you so much for your mentorship. It's meant a lot. Let's see here. So my name is Sam Golzari, and I appreciate the opportunity to share my story and my pitch. So when I was 3 years old, my family escaped from Iran and we came here to the States. And the first thing that I connected to when I arrived here was music and dance, specifically Michael Jackson. I started to learn his moves. My mom made me the gloves that I'm wearing in this picture. I performed on Persian TV, and yes, I knew how to do the moonwalk. From there, my passion for music and dance continued. I trained as a dancer. I'm a musician. I've done musical theater, and I've been following the movement through the years, and I've become really excited and passionate about what's happening right now in the modern hip hop dance scene, specifically in Paris, which has become the hub for some of the best hip hop dancers from Europe and the entire world, where they go to train and compete. And I thought, I would love to see a show about these young people, to give them a platform to tell their stories. So my series is a 1-hour drama in the vein of the FX show Pose, with the tone of 8 Mile and a dash of La La Land. It's called The Terribles, or La Terrible, and it follows a young, naturally talented, but cocky dancer named Rubix, who has been recently kicked out of his older brother's prestigious dance crew. And we follow him as he starts from scratch to build his own crew and find his way in the Paris dance scene. Now, in the pilot, we find Rubix still in his older brother Laurent's dance crew, Le Crew Magnifique, and he's in the midst of a battle. Now, Rubix is losing, and he ends up stealing one of his crewmates' signature dance moves in the hopes of winning. And in doing so, he breaks one of the key rules of the culture: no jacking style. His brother Laurent, having no choice, kicks Rubix out of the crew. And so for the first season, we follow Rubix as he starts his own crew that he names the Terribles. And we watch him as he recruits his own dance members and starts from the bottom, and they work their way through the dance scene. Now, at the same time, there's drama at home. Rubix tries to maintain a relationship with his brother as the season progresses. We also find out that his mom has MS. And so as she's losing mobility, Rubix and Laurent now have to decide how much they want to give of themselves to the dance movement and how much they need to give to take care of the ones that they love. The core of this story is about community and family, and the relationship between Rubix and Laurent is at the center of it. Now, Rubix is a frustrating and inspirational, gifted man. He wants to be a star. He's a showboat, but he lacks technique. He thinks he already knows everything. He's driven, but he cuts corners. Laurent, his brother, is a student of the culture, and he honors the fundamentals and the masters that came before him. He tries to make Rubix understand that he needs to slow down and dig deeper. And by the end of the first season, it culminates with them having to go head to head on the dance floor. Now, the first person that Rubix recruits to his crew is Georgie. Now, Georgie is a Muslim immigrant from Algeria. He is an eclectic, quirky, awkward guy who has a very unique sense of style and dance. And as the season progresses, we find out he's actually been living on the streets, that he's been out of the house when his devout Muslim father found out that he was gay. So we follow Georgie as he tries to find a sense of community and purpose, what it means to be young, poor, Muslim, and gay immigrant in modern day Paris. Another member of the crew is Q. She comes from an extremely wealthy and powerful family in Japan who have sent her to Paris to study finance, but her passion is dance. And one night, Rubix sees her at one of the clubs that he goes to, and he's just blown away by her talent, and he invites her to the crew, and she joins. But she is torn between wanting to dance and at the same time managing the responsibility and the pressure of doing her family's wishings. Now, what makes this story unique is the world that it takes place in. In the West, we have yet to see a modern urban Paris depicted like this for our screens. This vibrant community of French, Middle Eastern, and African diaspora, these are young people on the forefront of style, creativity. Hip hop here has not been commercialized like it has been here. It's still reminiscent of like the New York in the 80s. There's still a love for the culture and the craft. And even though our show takes place in Paris, it's an international cast. So we have some characters speaking French, but when our leads are together, they speak English. Now, one of the key elements when it comes to tone, which is why I brought up La La Land before, is just like in La La Land and in musical theater, where characters will break out into song and dance. The characters in my show also break out, but in dance. And in our show, it's almost like Shakespeare soliloquies. These are moments where the characters have an opportunity to share either an inner monologue or process something that they're dealing with. Now, the commitment these dancers have to their craft is no different than a ballerina has to theirs. There's endless amounts of stories of sacrifice, success and failure, dancers quitting in their prime, legends never getting their dues. Very few can make a living, but almost everyone dedicates their lives to it. And we've seen reality shows, we've seen dance competitions, but I would love to see a show that really deals with the humanity and soul of these dancers and elevates them in the world view and puts them on a platform they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam. Okay, so and that is true. That concludes our dance portion of the evening. That was actually an alphabetical order thing, not a programming choice. We have several with high-level experts in programming tonight. So our next project, I don't think Stephanie Drachkovich is here tonight to introduce it, so I will introduce it. Stephanie is someone who, to CSUN students, needs no introduction. She is a major support of our students and actually across the CSU, and is this co-CEO and co-president of 44 Blue Productions. She's an Emmy, Gracie, GLAAD award-winning, and so she worked with Sam. You have to, I think, relinquish the screen so she could put up her screen. I think you have to say stop screen sharing.
I don't think I did screen share. Let me double check.
Or maybe maybe we could just remove the spotlight from you.
Yes, I think that might be the spotlight because I just
Yeah.
did it directly into the feed.
The spotlight's not currently on.
Yeah. There's Sochi. All right, we have Sochi. So Sochi, Sochi Huerta is you're going to screen share, correct?
Yes, I just wanted to say that due to my low bandwidth, I've been advised to keep my camera off for the duration of my pitch. I just wanted to let everybody know.
Okay.
In me, but I don't want your sympathy. Oh, baby, I just need your tender loving to keep me saying this burning loving. When my time is up, be my reason.
Hi, my project is Third Eye and Sparrow. I created a story to showcase a different perspective on the Western genre, something that the great Westerns of the past and present haven't achieved yet. Empower diverse, emotional female characters that are women of color and the main heroes of the story. Third Eye and Sparrow is an hour-long Western drama in the vein of Godless and the Coen brothers' film True Grit. During the California Gold Rush of 1850, a Mexican-American woman and the daughter of a Chinese immigrant experienced horrific atrocities by a gang of outlaws. They team up to exact their revenge in the precarious Wild West. Week to week, we'll follow Sonia Third Eye Sanchez and Sparrow, real name Zhang Yingyu, as they travel through California, facing the dangers of outlaws, cowboys, and miles of unforgiving terrain. My characters may be fictional, but the world they live in was once very much a reality. From the California genocide to the plight of the Chinese railroad workers, as well as the aftermath of the Mexican-American War, this is the world of Third Eye and Sparrow. It's a world that does not welcome women, especially women of color. And it's a place that my characters will work hard to survive in. And those titular characters are, of course, Third Eye and Sparrow. Sonia Third Eye Sanchez used to be a shy, kind-hearted girl. After losing the people she loved most in the world, she has become a distrustful and scarred woman. But to those she calls friends, she is a deeply loyal and protective person who is capable of intense love. And to those she deems enemies, can expect to be left with the bullet right in the middle of their foreheads. Zhang Yingyu chose the name Sparrow, honoring her deceased mother. Sparrow has always had a loving soul. By being a genuine and kind person, she made familial connections with the other women in the brothel. When the hounds take her sister's lives, Sparrow is spurred to pursue justice. Despite her sometimes naive and brash behavior, Sparrow is a survivor, and this journey will serve as an ultimate test of her faith in humanity. When these women collide and decide to take this journey together, they will be an unstoppable force of nature. Revenge may be what they're after, but they'll come to realize that within each other, they'll find what they really need. There is also more key players to know about. Blue, short for Bluebird, is a daughter of the Chumash tribe. Unfortunately, the Chumash were also one of the largest tribes affected by the Spanish missions. Because of this, Blue has lost a direct line to her people. She is a restless spirit and healer, but won't hesitate to gun down anyone who threatens her or the one she cares about. She will eventually join Third Eye and Sparrow on their journey, and her and Third Eye's romantic past will be revealed. The last character you'll need to know about is, of course, our villain. Silas Adams is a charming man. When Third Eye first meets him, he has the maximum possibility of being someone trustworthy, but then it's revealed that he's the leader of the Hounds, a gang that has and will continue to cause much death. The relationship he has with both Third Eye and Sparrow is complex, but one thing is for sure, he has caused them great pain. Some people think there's not many new stories you can bring to the Western genre, but if you look at our history, real American history, there are many stories that have yet to be told. Third Eye Sparrow is about surviving and thriving through the relationships we make with people, especially those of a different cultural background than our own. I want to make a story that uplifts and empowers women and anybody that doesn't fit the white-centric mold that is often applied in Westerns and the media in general. And what better way to achieve that than to create a story with two badass women who won't be silenced whilst on a journey for justice. This is Third Eye and Sparrow. Thank you all for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much, Soshi. That was wonderful. Next up, we have a mentor, a wonderful mentor who's introducing our next project. This is David Eilenberg, who is the Chief Creative Officer at ITV America, and he's responsible for guiding the company's creative strategy, leveraging intellectual property, and identifying and emerging cable, broadcast, and digital platform growth opportunities across the group. And those are just a few of his accolades. He has won 3 Emmy Awards for the Netflix reboot of the mega hit Queer Eye. Avery, are you able to screen share?
Yes.
Okay. But can we spotlight first David to introduce you?
Yes, I'm here.
Let me see if I can spotlight you.
Thanks. I was there for just a second. Oh, there I am. Hello.
Okay.
I'm so pleased to introduce Avery. We've had an amazing experience, I think, as mentor and mentee, and I just can't commend him enough on the work that he's done on this incredible project. I think it's a daunting task to turn autobiography into compelling story that's both really specific and universal. And I think Avery's done a tremendous job. So I hope you all enjoy his presentation as much as I've enjoyed being subject to it and helping him along the way.
Thank you, David. All right, give me one sec. All right, we're gonna start off here.
Did you ever wonder?
What happens when one of the star players of a collegiate women's rugby team transitions from female to male? Hi, my name is Avery Fox, and that's only a sliver of my life story. I thought, what if I created a fictional series based off my life, where we followed the main protagonist as he grapples with his gender identity, and while determined not to let him and his mom's relationship fall apart, finds ultimate fulfillment in his rugby family. I have an 8-episode, hour-long coming-of-age drama series narrated by our hero. A mixture of Netflix's Atypical and Cheer, the show is called Transcend. It centers on Levi, a recently out trans man who must embrace what it means to love himself while elevating his school's women's rugby team, opening up to romance, and fighting to sustain a relationship with his conservative mother. But this is not just the journey of an individual. It's also the story of an underdog team battling their way to victory amidst the challenges of fickle team chemistry, cliques, relationship drama, and Levi's upending transition. Roommates as well as teammates, we follow Levi and his friends as they bring their team to the playoffs, experience doubt about who they are, question who they want to be, and embrace the power of the family you choose. Now, Transcend takes place at an LA public college. This is a world where queer people are normalized since rugby, and especially women's rugby, is a very inclusive sport. College kids are rule over their coaches, rugby jargon is commonplace, and we'll see a unique team conflict between the aggressors and the appeasers. A mashup of football and soccer, and no difference in the way men and women play, it's inevitable for viewers of all types to become hooked. Let's talk characters. Our main protagonist, Levi, values truth over everything. Though soft-spoken and speculative, his newfound confidence can often be interpreted as acting rude. But in the end, he wants nothing more than to find himself and contribute to his team. Now, Levi breaks the golden rule by dating his teammate, Maya. She's compassionate, solution-driven, and has a dad-like sense of humor. They both find solace in their shared Jewish culture, yet struggle to understand each other through the course of Levi's medical transition. Joanna, one of Levi's roommates, is a witty, laid-back, reserved perfectionist who wants to excel, but doesn't want anyone to see through her struggle with depression. Levi's other roommate, Genesis, is affectionate, reckless, and doesn't understand the responsibility of being the team's best player. Trapped in a relationship with someone who makes her believe he's the best she deserves or will ever get, Genesis starts on a treacherous journey of extracting herself from her abuser and seeing her true worth. Finally, and most importantly, we have Levi's recently divorced mother, Eve. Now, Eve is on her own journey, faced with defining her own new single life. But the one thing holding her back, refusing to say goodbye to her baby girl. In the pilot episode, when a young trans filmmaker discovers his mom kicked him off for health insurance, he's forced to make up the money for an upcoming life-changing surgery before it's too late. After discovering a documentary film festival with a large winning prize, his team inspires him to make it about their women's rugby team. Now, by the end of the first season, Levi receives the money he needs for top surgery, regardless of whether or not he wins the festival. The team just barely earns a spot at playoffs. Our core friends realize that opening up to each other ultimately also helps them succeed on the field. And Levi realizes that he doesn't need to act like a man to be a man. We'll also get to experience a new level of intimacy between Levi and Maya, and grasp that Eve has a darker history than expected. After almost losing her relationship with Levi, Eve realizes her newfound sense of self-control led over to wanting to control him. Deep down, the shattered reality that he wouldn't grow up to be the perfect woman that she'd envisioned overwhelmed her, and her obsession with Levi's transition also became a convenient excuse to avoid the confusion about her own place in the world. Forgetting Levi, who really was she? Now, by the end of season 3, Levi gains the strength and confidence to play a game with the men's rugby team, launches a legal battle fighting against the ban of collegiate trans rugby players, and begins to feel the burden of everyone knowing he's trans and debates going stealth after graduation. Now, by putting themselves in Levi's shoes, the audience will see that things that are simple for them are much more difficult for people that are transgender and queer. Yet one of the biggest takeaways of Transcend is universal. If you don't play, you can't win, which we'll see physical examples of on the rugby field and metaphorical examples of in the players' real lives. This show is unique because we have yet to see a mainstream series center a transmasculine character, nor explore rugby, one of the fastest growing sports in the world. Transcend invites in viewers to be on the team and recognize that just maybe they're capable of making change within their own lives too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Avery. Okay, next up we have a comedy. And I don't believe the mentor is here, so I'm going to introduce, tell you a little bit about her and then a little bit about the project. Let me give Daniel Pena the spotlight. Hi, Daniel. So Daniel's project is Weirdos. It's a comedy. And Daniel was mentored by Carol Kirshner, who is the director of the Writers Guild of America Showrunner Training Program, the creator and director of the CBS Diversity Writers Mentoring Program, and author of the book Hollywood Game Plan, How to Land a Job in Film. So I give you Daniel Pena, Weirdos.
Thank you so much. Let me just pull up my presentation. All right. So when I first moved to LA for school, I was lost. I figured the easiest way to meet people was to get a new job. And after a lot of searching, I finally found one at a Hot Topic. Now, if you've ever been inside a Hot Topic, you know that it's an interesting experience. The employees all have wacky hair and crazy clothes, much like my coworkers did. At first, I felt like I didn't fit in and that they were all, to put it quite bluntly, weirdos. As time went on, however, I realized that these were some of the kindest and most interesting people that I've ever met. And yes, there was the occasional one that wanted to be a cult leader. I ended up working there for 3 years, and aside from all the crazy stories, it helped me really grow as a person and figure out my identity. Hi, my name is Daniel Pena, and I have a contemporary offbeat comedy in the vein of sex education with the comedy of Big Mouth. It's called Weirdos, and it's about a young college student with a bad case of writer's block who gets hired at her local goth-pop culture store, and how she and her colorful and sometimes frightening coworkers survive the dangerous and high-stakes environment of a retail chain store, all while grappling with their identities, sexualities, and everything in between. Week to week, we follow Naya, our protagonist, and the rest of her coworkers as they navigate outrageous customer demands, lovable but useless mall cops, and workplace romances. As Naya must somehow find a new look and fit in with the rest of the employees, she realizes that she may have just hit a jackpot of story ideas, her coworkers. Throughout the show, Naya and her coworkers will realize that change, whether it's emotionally or physically, is a good thing, and it's a necessary step on the road to becoming their true, unfiltered selves. What I wanted to showcase in the ensemble cast of Weirdos is that behind every person with a wacky hair color and a gallery of tattoos is a complex person with hopes and traumas, dreams and heartbreaks. The pop culture retail store is simply the backdrop to these human stories. The first of these characters is our protagonist Naya, 21 years old, who recently moved to a new city for school and wants to become a writer, but doesn't think she has any stories worth telling. Even worse, she feels completely out of place in this new environment. As the show goes on, she will realize that everyone has a story worth telling and manages to come to terms with her fluid sexuality. Next, we have Missy, 22, the quiet cosplayer who always shows up to work in full costume and makeup and is studying to be a morgue technician. After suffering losses as a child, she wants to become a mortician to give people one last beautiful image of their loved ones. Throughout the show, she learns that growing up doesn't mean letting go. And then we have Blaze, 20, the bisexual bad boy with a soft heart that is everyone's emo's fantasy, who wants nothing more than to live peacefully on a farm. The nose ring and hair dye is just a front for a lovable vegan that would put anyone's needs before his own. And then we have Damien, 26, the gender fluid manager of Hot Topic, who has no business running a store, but just wants to make his business mogul father proud. Timid and afraid of confrontation, throughout the show, Damien must learn the balance between being a good boss and being a good friend. Here we have Zoe Morgana, her real name is actually just Emma, a troubled young 19-year-old who truly believes that she's an angel and a vampire at the same time, and wants to save the world from an apparently impending apocalypse. Aside from comedic relief, Zoe's unique view of the world often leads to some genuine advice. This main ensemble is open to change, as in a retail environment, there are always new employees coming and going. Aside from this core cast, The retail setting allows for a variety of other characters like the emotionless and brutal district manager, seasonal employees, toxic love interests, angry toy collectors, shopping mall Karens, and the occasional thieving teenager. Over the course of the series, we will see these characters learn to adapt to change, grapple with their identities, figure out their sexualities, and really step into their true selves. Each season focuses on the group of characters' ability or inability to change, whether that is in their personal or professional lives. By the end of the show, the characters will have grown as people because of their relationships with each other, and that's what the heart of Weirdos really is. Weirdos is unlike any show that's in its genre because there aren't really that many shows that are set in a retail store, especially one as unique as Hot Topic or Pop Topic for legal reasons. Additionally, the focus is on the truly diverse cast of characters that reflects real life. Themes of gender identity and sexuality appeal to an in-demand demographic, and Weirdos can grapple with important conversations of the moment while still maintaining its comedic tone. While the people at Pop Topic may seem strange on the outside, deep down there are still people with goals, ambitions, traumas, and emotions. They just have a slightly different way of showing it. How we adapt to change truly shows who we are as people, and I believe that Weirdos can help people accept the fact that change is inevitable, but also good. Besides, we're all a little weird, aren't we? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I can't stop smiling. Okay, so next up we have, I don't believe David and Wendy Knoller, the mentors, are here in person, but Sarah has recorded an intro to her project with her mentors. So I will let them introduce themselves and introduce her.
Hi, I'm David Knoller.
And I'm Wendy Knoller.
We have been Sarah's mentors for this pitch project.
And we've really enjoyed working with Sarah over the last few months. Enjoy your pitch.
She's awesome.
What would you do to survive a war? Can you forgive yourself when it's over? A while back, I read a biography of Simone de Beauvoir, the author of The Second Sex. And here was this queer woman born in 1908, lived through World War II, rubbed elbows with the likes of Pablo Picasso, Che Guevara, and not to mention her lifelong non-monogamous partnership with great philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre. And she was in the resistance. But when you take all that away, you've got a woman who was raised in a very traditional family, who grew up to be a queer radical obsessed with free will. And I resonated with this woman. I wondered, did she ask the same questions that I do? And I started to think, what if there was an audience who related to this woman and her identity struggle in the way that I do? So I started to build a world of a show called The Second Sex. It's a 1-hour historical drama inspired by the life of Simone de Beauvoir. The Second Sex follows Simone, a disgraced philosophy teacher who gets involved in the resistance to rescue her student from a Nazi ghetto. Paris, 1941. The Nazis have control. Food rations, curfews, mass arrests, Jews disappearing. There is fear. Unless you're one of the French elite, you can totally ignore it. Simone did. Simone has the grace and bravery of Claire in Outlander, infused with the intellect and gender-bending command of Anne Lister in Gentleman Jack. Her goal is for her work to come out from under the shadow of her famous partner, Jean-Paul. He's got the awkwardness and sexual ambiguity of Quentin from The Magicians and wants nothing more than to hide behind his ideas. His blissful ignorance is interrupted when Bianca, Simone's new student, enters the sphere. She has the unassuming energy of Juliana from Man in the High Castle. Being a sheltered Persian Jewish girl from the country, she has a thirst to break out of the cages of expectation. In the series, Simone and Jean-Paul's partnership is threatened as they become entangled in the ethical and moral challenges of surviving a war. And things get more complicated when Bianca comes into the fold. The pilot begins when bright-eyed Bianca enters Simone and Jean-Paul's salacious world of lovers, artists, and academics. Her desire to study philosophy from the great Simone de Beauvoir overshadows her fear of being a Jew living in Paris. But Simone is fired for sexual misconduct. So, heartbroken, Bianca breaks curfew and shows up at Simone's door, where both women let their guards down and their passions soon take over. But then Nazis break down the door searching for the Jewish girl, and the pilot ends when Bianca is taken prisoner by the Nazis. Season 1 will follow Simone as she risks everything to rescue Bianca, including the life and liberty of Jean-Paul. We will also watch Bianca do what it takes to survive the Reich. Each season, the characters attempt to balance the exploration of identity and ethics while trying to survive a war that threatens both life and morality. Audiences will love this show because sex and war are often portrayed in the male gaze, but this story is told through the eyes of women. And throughout this series, viewers will ask themselves the same questions that these characters will ask themselves. What would you do to survive a war? Can you forgive yourself when it's over? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I wanted to hear a little Edith Piaf there, let her play out. Thank you again. Okay, so our next project, I don't believe Josh Mandel, Stuart's mentor, is here. So I am so happy actually to introduce this project. I'm really pleased. Josh Mandel is a senior production executive at Amazon Kids. He's had an amazing career in development and production. Disney, Pixar, Warner Brothers, Universal. He's worked on huge franchises, mostly kids and family. And one of the reasons, and he's also worked at the Slam Dance Film Festival, where he was a senior programmer and became known for discovering emerging talent. And one of the reasons I'm so proud to introduce him and his mentee is because Josh Mandel is a former student of mine and also a former colleague of mine at both Disney and Mattel. So that's how it works. So very excited to introduce WW's End. It's in the kids animation genre, and it is by Stuart Allen Bertman.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Stuart Allen here. Just give me 1 second to pull up my presentation here. Okay, here we are. So, hi, Stuart Allen here, and I like to approach things with a positive lens, a rosy outlook on life. Sometimes to a delusional extent. Call it naivete, glass half full jeans, or being young and dumb. But I've learned through college, my voice acting career, and growing up in general, that no matter the situation, everyone makes mistakes, and you have to live with them. But if you look at things through a different scope, you'll find the answers. Sometimes the ones you want, others the ones you need to learn and grow. This lesson inspired me to tell a story of a massive, diverse ensemble of heroes and villains, starting with 5 curious teens thrown into a vastly chaotic world. While they may start this journey as victims of circumstance, a positive spin and fresh perspective will turn them into unlikely heroes, both for themselves and those around them. With that, I present an animated coming-of-age fantasy, mixing the epic thrills and mysteries behind Stranger Things with the comedic and expansive worlds of Star versus the Forces of Evil. Working title, WW's End. When a ragtag group of adventurous teens goes ghost hunting in a haunted hotel during spring break, they must battle otherworldly forces across time and space to avoid becoming its permanent guests. Our ensemble is led by 2 best friends and nosy ghost hunters. Think Dipper and Mabel from Gravity Falls. First up, Elliot Hiroto, the guy who's always got his nose in a book and his head in the clouds. He's very observant, a dreamer, and an idealist with total leader potential, but no self-confidence. His best friend, Allie Carter Hernandez. You know that one friend in the group where if they weren't there, the others wouldn't be friends? That's Allie. She's the empathetic glue, a foster kid filled with curiosity and stubbornness to achieve her goals by any means, whether it's pulling Elliot on another ghost hunting spree or blackmailing her older brother Riley. Speaking of, Riley is every school's star athlete. On the surface, a popular kid with rallying charisma who knows how to take charge and protect his friends. And with our popular guy, we have a popular gal. Meet Danae, a classic mean girl who always acts like she's above everyone else. She's Riley's date, and the wild card who definitely wasn't supposed to be here. Or so we think. And lastly, but not least, there's Sage, the quiet kid who keeps to himself, but when he talks, you listen because it's off the wall and very, very clever. He's a grounded pessimist and former friend of Elliot and Allie. Now then, the story. Each episode is a new floor reality with new dilemmas to solve, almost like escape rooms, but with no walls, and everything from out-of-this-world fantasy with deceivingly cute aliens to death-defying mysteries in the dark. The goal? Survive and get to the next floor. Sometimes, a new companion will join them on their journey, or an unexpected visitor will give them clues to the hotel's inner workings and threaten their lives. For example, in the pilot, after our teens get trapped, they solve a riddle and reveal the Thespian, a man of pure theatrics who controls supernatural spotlight. He gives a crude introduction to the WWN and nearly burns them alive, chasing them into the elevator. Next episode, the teens arrive in a cursed Elizabethan town, where the faster you talk, the faster you walk. Literally. They meet a new companion, DeMarcus, a 90s grunge rock star who's maybe a little too laid back. To get out, Allie must fulfill a town prophecy by running across the island on a track, but things get hijacked as a massive monster called the Amalgam of Souls appears, devouring the town as our teens and their new friend race to the elevator. After that, a dark forest filled with massive wolves. Captain Andrea, a vengeance-filled 1700s pirate, fights off the dangerous foes, and Sage leads the group by solving the floor's mythology puzzle. Things take a dark turn when they meet the Hearth, a roguish woman with a knack for trapping people in perfect dreams. Also, DeMarcus knows her? They used to date? Rest assured, as time passes, we'll learn nothing makes sense, and everything makes sense. If you look past the chaos, you realize there are thousands of guests like these teens, DeMarcus and Andrea, who've fallen prisoner, the floors and their inhabitants, all designed to target their deepest insecurities, like a cat playing with a mouse. There's promise of an eventual escape from the WWN, but it's an end that will never come. Unless you're devoured by an amalgam, killed by the housekeeper, trapped in a dark dream, disintegrated by a man in a cave, cuddled to death by Catoos. You get the idea. Despite these odds, the teens have hope. At the end of the pilot, a mysterious message appears in Elliot. Elliot's journal. Find Anton. Two final events provide critical answers and more questions. They find Anton Whitman, a wise old man who's found isolation on one of the floors. As a longtime guest, he reveals insider secrets that could help them escape, but it's clear he's hiding something big. And soon after, Elliot is invited on a lone journey up the elevator. To prove himself a leader, he takes the risk and meets the founder of the WWN, Daniel Wallace the Blind, the man behind the Thespian, the Hearth, and more. He's offered to join them, and the next time the others meet Elliot, he may not be the same. At the end of the day, no matter what dangers lie ahead, nor what ghosts haunt your past, the only way to go is up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stuart. What fun. Okay, so we are moving on. I don't believe Michelle Vickery is here to introduce our next project, but certainly her mentee, Jean-Jacques, is here. Just briefly about Michelle, she is one of our alumni, and she's the Executive Vice President of Programming and Publicity at Crown Media Family Networks, home of 3 linear networks, Hallmark Movies Now, and the Publishing Division. And I know that she and Jean-Jacques have worked hard on this pitch, which is a drama called Life Lessons.
Hello there, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Jean-Jacques, and I'm a senior at California State University, Fullerton. And today, I would like to present to you all my 1-hour drama fantasy series, Life Lessons, a story about a group of young college students learning valuable life lessons from their dead relatives. In this university world, we mirror the environment of free forms Grownish, where we have a large student body with all different backgrounds and cultural communities that they belong to. And these students are all on the same journey, a journey of self-discovery, of finding who they are and what kind of communities and clubs and organizations they might belong to. They're all on this journey together, but some of these students have a little bit of advantage. They have magic and spirits on their side, providing them guidance and valuable life lessons to help them through college. Now, the rules of this world are pretty unique. While the characters cannot actually see or directly hear the spirits, they have the instinct of them in their DNA. These spirits are from their family bloodline, and they can feel their guidance within their bones and their gut intuition, telling them to make different choices in the world. But we also, as the audience, get a little bit more. We get to actually see these spirits and hear their conversations as they make judgments over these young students' poor life choices sometimes. We get to have the insight of these ancestors as we hear them give life lessons to these students. Now, the voice of these ancestors is heard by one student in particular, our lead, Diana. She is a young transfer student who is ambitious and determined to make her way in the world. However, she has no direction in life. Again, she's a young woman. She doesn't know exactly what she's supposed to be doing or where she's supposed to be going, but she has spirit and the ancestors in her back ear and giving her guidance as she makes her way through this life. Now, the spirits that she hears the most are these two figures, a male and female figure. The male, Theos, is this amalgamation of the dead ancestors of men in Diana's life. They remind her of her grandfather's smile, of her great uncle's weird jokes, and the family friend's extremely large height. But he speaks in proverbs and riddles, and she doesn't always exactly know what he means. But she still trusts his voice, because it's the voice of her mother, Marie. When Diana was very young, her mother passed away. But now in death, Diana is able to reconnect with her mother and hear her voice guiding her throughout her life in college. But not only guiding her, they're also guiding our characters, the clan, the tribe, Diana's friends who bring her back to earth and remind her she's just a young girl in college and she has to get on with her life, even though she has that spiritual powers behind her. We have Rebecca, a studious roommate who is always reminding Diana that there's a time and place to study. But there's also Drex, the alluring adventurer who reminds Diana that there is a place and time to have a good distraction and unwind. And who better to unwind with than the playful and lively cousins Jerome and Kennedy, who are always there to party and always there to remind Diana that life has to be full of fun and smiles. And these friends also have more to provide for Diana. They are the backbone of the spirits and ancestors that Diana hears in her voice. She hears the voices of people in their friend's family line who were discriminated against when they were alive. When they were alive, they were silenced and put down. But in death, they are loud and proud, and they're able to share with their bloodline through Diana the valuable life lessons they have for her. And we see that in our pilot episode, as Diana makes decisions on what kind of clubs and organizations to go to and which events to attend. Should she attend the political rally where there might be a little bit more performative activism than real change? Or should she go to the party, which most people tell you don't party in college, you got to take it seriously. But at the party, there are friends that she could connect with community members she identifies with, and she can share her authentic voice. And that's my motivation behind this piece, to share stories that are unheard from authentic voices of the past, learning their valuable life lessons and understanding that the only way we know how to go in life is by knowing where we came from. Thank you so much for listening to my pitch of Life Lessons, a story about young college students learning valuable life lessons from their dead relatives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jean-Jacques. This next one is going to be our last entry for the evening. And I do believe that, yes, I see him right there, that the mentor is here, Joe Vogelzon. Are you able to unmute yourself? No, I'll unmute you then. Sorry. Let's see.
There we are.
There you go. Okay.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. I have the pleasure of introducing Stacia Robbins. Stacia is a current grad student in the MFA screenwriting program at Cal State Fullerton. She also attended UC Irvine, where she graduated magna cum laude and Phi Beta Kappa with a BA in drama. Ungodly is equally timely, entertaining, and commercial, which is incredibly fine needle to thread, not to mention with a great twist. As someone like all of the great judges and mentors on this Zoom, we hear pitches for a living. I'm confident that Stacia's pitch will stick with everyone and find a large audience once it makes it to screen.
Thank you so much, Joe. You've been a wonderful mentor to me, and I couldn't appreciate it enough. And I would like to say thank you to this entire event. It's just been so appreciated. Thank you. Oh, wait, I need to share again.
Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It has been 6 days since my last confession.
Tell me your sins, my child.
I am ashamed, Father. I fear that I have broken my relationship with the Lord. I've broken my vows. I have fornicated, Father.
What made you commit this sin?
I was commanded to.
By her?
It's not the first time, and it wasn't just men.
I see. Is there anything else you'd like to confess?
No.
I'm Stacia. I'm an actor, a writer, and a director. And as a creator, one of the most important things for us to know are characters. So one day, I found myself at a branding workshop, as one does, and two types of women were suggested to me: the mother of a convent and the madam of a brothel. Suddenly, this vision of a woman appeared in my mind, a woman who was both of these things. May I introduce Mother Superior Mary Eunice Carmichael. She's calm, she's stoic, and she's intense. She commands the authority of one who is never questioned or challenged. For the past 20 years, she's run the St. Nicholas Convent for wayward souls, souls that no one else cares about and no one else is looking for. Ungodly is a 1-hour drama of religion, sex, and power dynamics. It's The Handmaid's Tale meets Breaking Bad. Potential collaborators and creatives include Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Genji Cohen, and Bruce Miller. The pilot episode introduces us to the women of St. Nicholas in their everyday lives. That includes things such as morning prayers, feeding the hungry, sodomy, growing magic mushrooms, and performing acts of sexual service. We first meet a young nun by the name of Francesca Bernard. As she's performing oral sex on a priest during the Liturgy of Hours. Mother Eunice has taken Francesca under her wing and is grooming her to become her second in command. Francesca is intelligent, reserved, and guarded. She wants to make her newfound mother happy, but she also has a core strength that most people tend to underestimate. Some of the other women of the convent include sisters Ruth and Claudine. Ruth begins growing and selling marijuana and magic mushrooms with some of the other nuns. At first, their cover is perfect because, of course, no one ever suspects them. But then the local drug lord finds out and things start to get a little messy. Claudine also performs sexual acts for the convent, but she begins to fall in love with Ruth. But Ruth is too ashamed of her attraction to women to admit she feels the same way. Big problems for the sisters arise when Francesca discovers she's pregnant. Mother Eunice wants her to get an abortion, but Francesca doesn't want to lose her child. So she turns to Archbishop Charles Kenway to help her fight against Eunice, only to have him try to rape her instead. Mother Eunice intervenes and ends up killing the bishop with an axe in order to save Francesca. The women then have to work together to cover up the murder. In one of the biggest and final reveals of the episode, we see that Eunice had been watching the entire moment unfold on hidden cameras. Before now, the audience has been led to believe that the show was a period drama set in the 18th or 19th century, but in fact, it is set in modern day America, showing how little has actually changed for these women, making it painfully relevant to today and the Me Too movement. Possible future story arcs are endless as we discover the past and history of each nun. Not unlike an institutionalized drama such as Orange is the New Black or Wentworth, these women are in prisons of their own making. The heart of the show, however, is Francesca and Eunice. How close to the edge can each one get without falling in? And is the other one going to be there to bring them back, or will they be the one to push them in? Ungodly addresses the Madonna whore complex in a really unique and titillating way. How far has our society actually come? After watching this series, I want people to feel intrigued and a little dirty, satisfied and left wanting more. But what I really want is for them to question their own relationship with women, sex, and respect. For my closing thoughts, I just want to say that I've really come to believe in how real these women are. Every draft, every revision, and even each round of this competition has added a new layer to them. They have stories to tell, and they want to be heard. They matter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stacia. So that concludes the competition portion. Thank you so much to all of the contestants. The judges, this is now in your hands to tabulate your scores. We're running a little bit behind, so we're just going to take a 5-minute bathroom break to allow the judges to tabulate their scores and get them to Amos. And we will reconvene just a little bit after, where are we, 7:27? So let's say between 7:30 and 7:32, so that we could have a nice, good, close to a half-hour discussion and panel discussion with our judges, who have remained remarkably silent as they listen to this material. So 5-minute break, and we shall return. Okay, so hopefully we are back, at least most of us, and we will begin our judging panel. Let me see, hopefully we can spotlight our judges. Here we have, here we have our illustrious Professor Holmes, who's going to be the moderator for the panel. So have, let's see, Dr. Dave Kaplan. We have Felicia Mary. We have, it's going in, I think, alphabetical order here. Where's Kat? Oh, we have Brian Miller. And I'm missing one, which is Kat.
Kat, you have to start your video to be added.
There we go. Okay, so I'm going to let Professor Holmes take it away.
Okay, fantastic. Julie, thank you, or Professor Sipos, thank you so much for hosting this event and putting everything together. This has been fantastic. Very, very impressive presentations. I really enjoyed the pitches. I thought, I love the enthusiasm provided by each of our finalists. Certainly a wide array of different genres, themes of female empowerment, challenges of being transgender, love, passion, sex, all of these things, and very authentic stories that really need to be told, and things that, elements and stories that in a lot of cases have not been told that if they were, would certainly make our society a better place. To kind of get started, I just wanted to, first of all, from our judges, kind of hear just, any general thoughts you wanted to share with the audience on our pitches so far.
Well, I'm happy to jump in and say that overall, I was just thoroughly impressed. I thought the work that the students did, and obviously the mentors as well, really showed in these pitches. I think, some of these pitches were better than professional pitches I've heard over the years. And I think that says an awful lot because pitching is an acquired skill. It takes repetition, and it takes being so nervous that your teeth are chattering 5 or 6 or 7 times in front of a network head or a studio head to really start to learn how to do it properly. So I just want to congratulate everybody to start with. Just a terrific job. I was very, very heartened to see that the business is going to be in very good hands when all these folks take their place within it. I think everybody did a good job overall. I think they were instructed and did a great job of telling us their relationship to the material and why this was important and why this was an emotional necessity to write this material. I think when I'm hearing pitches, I don't need to have somebody have been in the Wild West to write the show. I just need to know what that emotional truth is that's going to resonate with the audience, even if it's in a completely different setting, or even if it's something that writers never quite experienced. That doesn't mean they can't bring a real verisimilitude to it. So I think everybody did a great job there. I think one thing that everybody can work on, and professionals continue to do so, is to really convey the journey of the character over the course of this series. And that, of course, connects to the series conflict, as opposed to an episode conflict or even a season conflict. Good series, viable series that have legs, have a conflict that can see them through all of the episodes. And it doesn't mean you're playing that conflict in every episode. It just means that it means that there's a viable show here that can survive, more than a few episodes. So that's something that I think everybody can work on. Where is this character starting? What are sort of the main guideposts along the way and the main things that happen to them that help this character develop? And why do I want to be on the journey with them? That's really the question that the audience is asking subliminally. So there are things to work on. We can talk about some other things, but overall, I got to say, absolutely wonderful job.
Thank you, Dave.
Oh,
Yes.
I was gonna say, go ahead. I was gonna just piggyback on what Dave said. I was really impressed. I feel like I scored almost everybody highly in originality and viability just because of what's out in the marketplace now. It used to be a time where I feel like, I mean, I'm still new to this industry, but even when I first got in just, a few years back, I feel like pushing diversity, you just felt like you're on this mountain alone trying to do that. Whereas now it feels like, yeah, that's what sells, that's what's on TV, that's what people want to see. So finally, the desire to do it is meeting a need for it. Or unless I'm lying to myself, that could be possible. So I just feel like the viability is there because we are seeing more diverse stories now, and everybody had kick-ass women at times and periods. We don't know the stories from period pieces where they're just kick-ass women, not just the lead, like multiple ones. So I was excited about that. I was excited to hear about a trans man in that transition and journey. I don't think we've heard those stories yet. So I was excited to hear diverse stories that we have not yet heard at a time where we've heard more diverse stories than ever. So I think that was exciting. I do agree with Dave. The thing that might just be missing is me hooking into the arc in the series where this main character is going to start and where they're going to end up in that pilot, then in that first season. Another thing is that can go deeper is there was like a lot of mentioning of like who characters are, but beyond who they are, what is that character relationship with that main character that helps that character to grow or helps them on their journey, so that they're just sort of not just personalities that are hanging out there. We understand how those personalities and those unique characters drive the story forward or drive our protagonists forward. And I think if you do those two things, you add more texture to what's an already great premise because of the world you've created and the premise you've come up with. But again, very impressed, very viable concepts to start. So that's one of the hardest parts, a viable concept, so everybody did a great job on that.
I can jump in now too. I agree with everything that everyone said so far. I was blown away by the pitches and the presentation. So kudos to all of you. My husband works in scripted and he hasn't been doing anything like that. But I'll just say that, as far as characters and the protagonist, I always tell people that if you can peel back the layers more of who the person is, why they're doing something, and their backstory, it always can drive story forward. You never want just scenes of like action moving forward. You want to know why and like who that affects, and always bringing in new characters that will have a different opinion always helps. And so telling the motivation of your protagonist in addition to the people around them that drive them is always interesting. And I really loved that people were personally tied to projects. And I was curious as to why there were so many period pieces. That was really intriguing to me. So maybe people can talk about that too, because it's maybe people are wanting to escape this time because it's so crazy, I'll say. But yeah, that was really interesting to me. But I really wanted to take my time in judging, which is why I didn't like turn on my camera right away, because I wanted to like make sure that I was doing it properly and gave everyone the right thought. You can't do that in 5 minutes. So I was a little late sending it in, but there you go.
Yeah, and just to pick up from that, I would say the fact that they were able to convey as much as they did in 5 minutes, I've never been in a pitch that was 5 minutes. So the fact that you could get that much into 5 minutes, I mean, kudos to everyone. And also I know that pitching in this manner is not an easy thing to do. It's much easier to be in a room and read people and sort of get a feel for how the pitch is going. And to just do this on a video screen cold like this is a difficult thing to do. So really congratulations to everyone. I mean, I think I would just mirror all of the comments. I don't think much more can be added to that, but I just have to say, I mean, to do that much in such a short period of time, I'd love to tell everyone that came in with a pitch, you've got 5 minutes, but it's difficult to get anyone to contain anything to 5 minutes. So congratulations.
Thank you so much for the the comments that you've made and suggestions. And yeah, it's good to know that certainly the work that was in the pitches tonight, that they're certainly professional quality for sure and very viable, commercially viable. So what I'd like to do now is I want to ask each of our judges just something, a specific question kind of based on each of your background and experience. So I'll start with you, Dr. Kaplan, if I could. Given your experience as a showrunner, executive producer, and writer, what was it like pitching the reboot, Roseanne, and then certainly the spinoff, The Conners, and kind of how does that differ from pitching a brand new series? Is there kind of a different way you approach it?
Well, I'll never be able to answer that in 5 minutes, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Well, we pitched the Roseanne reboot in the middle of a reboot mania. So for us, before myself and my two partners took that show on, we wanted to know about the thematics, right? That's something else that I think takes some time to understand. That's the thematics of your pitch. And the thematics of Roseanne was that when you're a lower middle class working family without a safety net, the economics in your life affects everything. And that pitch made more sense today than it even did in the 90s when the show was on, because families are struggling, to a greater degree than they were even then. So it was relevant, and that helped an awful lot. And then really the Conners, when Roseanne erased herself from the picture, the person, not the character, when we took some time, we took a little bit of time to say, well, what's the show going forward? And we said, well, those stories we're not finished telling those stories yet. We have a lot of decisions to make about how we want to take care of families and people vis-a-vis healthcare and childcare and all of the kinds of things we have to make decisions about as a society coming up. And those stories hadn't been told yet. So that was easy for us to say, yeah, we still have stories to tell about that. And those are the stories thematically we've continued to tell as far as the Conners goes. In terms of pitching other things, it's a case-by-case basis, but I've been on both ends. I've sold a lot of projects and gotten shows on the air, but I've also been the recipient of pitches too. And I just want to know what's unique and what's true. I just want to know what the emotional truth is, because that's all anybody really cares about. They care about the connection to these characters, and I need to know why the audience is going to connect to that character. And if you can start from there, we can build the rest of it out. But that has to be there for it to be viable. And so we have to know why we care, and we have to sort of know where the growth is, what are the challenges, and what are the obstacles, and what are we going to put that character through. So you can, with just that, you can sell a lot of stuff. And so I think those are the keys for me.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Kaplan. Felicia, as an executive producer and showrunner, as well as writer for 13 Reasons Why, what was your experience like pitching bigger? And I'm also curious, because I know that your prior experience also was in PR and integrated marketing, and just wondering also how maybe that has impacted your ability to pitch and everything.
It was a helpful, like I thought it was not a great thing that I didn't come out here in my 20s and, you know, like after undergrad. And so I was really worried about like, you know, people being like, where the hell did you come from? You know what I mean? Because I had lived a whole another life, didn't know that there were writers who had lived whole other lives. So that was one of the first transferable skills I think I had, which was pitching, because honestly, I was pitching things in PR that I didn't even care about. You know what I mean? like I just pretended like I cared about. So when given the opportunity to pitch something I actually cared about, it was way easier. And I was not afraid to tell a story about a product, about an idea. I was used to framing like that into a short story. So I didn't know that I had skills that would help me as a writer, you know, other than some very light writing skills that you have to have as a PR person. So yeah, pitching and being able to take a concept and putting it into a bite-sized story in a pitch, I was able to do. So one of my first pitches was a scary one. It was like HBO, and I was in film school. And I did, you know, this isn't to brag, this is just to say, this is when I knew, oh, that was helpful to have done this for years in PR. And I sold it in the room. And I was like, what? And I was like, oh, that's because I've actually been pitching for 15 years, but just stuff I didn't care about. So yeah, so it ended up, so whatever you're doing now may help you in ways you don't even know in the business. You know, nothing is a waste of time, especially as a writer, because you don't know when you're going to be able to use that knowledge of the random thing you did the summer of 95 or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. You never know exactly those skills are going to help out. And obviously it really, really helps when you're very passionate about the project and it has, you know, that personal relevance, obviously, as you mentioned. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, Brian, you know, given your experience in animation and as a VP of production, Senior Vice President of Cartoon Network Studios, your work in adult animation with Fired on Mars, which sounds like it'll be fantastic. What is it like pitching animated shows, and how does it seem to differ from live action?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think that with animation, obviously, you can go anywhere. So there's a fantastical element to animation that you're usually seeing that you're not going to get as much in live action. But in general, I think you're still looking for that same thing. You're still looking for authenticity. You're still looking for heart. You're still looking for character. So in a lot of ways, it's very similar. You know, and in adult animation, oftentimes, as I think everyone has seen, it's really as close to live action as you can get. It just happens to be the characters are drawn as opposed to being live action. So I don't think there's a lot of, you know, there's certainly a difference between kids and adults. But generally speaking for animation, other than the fact that the worlds can be fantastical, I wouldn't say there's a huge difference in the two genres.
Well, thank you. It's wonderful to have a Matador on the panel, yourself, as well as our next panelist, Kat. You're also a Matador. So your experience then is in unscripted, primarily. You've been a VP of unscripted development and programming at Lifetime. And just wondering, you know, would you say that in the unscripted space that the pitch, does it potentially become even more important because you're not relying on a killer script that you could have together, that you're having to really, you know, get behind that and really sell the sizzle of the concept of unscripted?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people come in wanting to pitch their family because they're really funny. But in unscripted, you know, there are things that that transcend to scripted, the authenticity, and I think also relatability, as well as, you know, being entertaining. But also, it's really helpful to have a clear concept. Like if you can write your concept in, you know, a log line that's 2 lines and it's clean and concise, that will win you the attention, as long as, you know, you don't fall apart in the room. I think with unscripted, if you have cast that you're pitching, you have to bring tape on them. You can't just show pictures. But if you have a really great show concept and you can just describe it, like, you know, Bachelor or like things like that, like you can describe it in a log line and it's catchy and it's never been done before, then you could get some attention with that. But I really feel like there are a lot of similarities between scripted and unscripted in pitching. I think everyone did such a great job in showing confidence and really knowing what their idea is and relaying it clearly and concisely. And I think also my tidbit of advice would be, when you're pitching a network, know the network that you're pitching. I think a lot of people don't know to do that. So when you're going into Lifetime, know what they have on the air, know what they've had success with in the past, and understand what their brand is. It's a little easier with Netflix because they can do a lot more. And I felt like a lot of the shows today could be on Netflix. I would watch them. But yeah, it's just really important to read the room and know who you're pitching.
Great, thank you, Kat. And yes, Dr. Kaplan, yes, is also a Matador as well. So, all right, didn't mention that. All right, so you guys mentioned about the pitch. You alluded to, okay, well, I've not experienced a 5-minute pitch. What is the typical length of a pitch? I've been told, this may not be necessarily true, but I've been told that Netflix, for instance, won't listen to anything that's over 2 minutes. I don't know if you could speak to that or what your experience has been in terms of length of pitches.
Well, all too often the length is too long. Because an awful lot of time, very early on in the pitch where it's going, certainly, and then the rest of it is sort of unwinds. It depends on the show, I'm sure. I can only speak to my little corner of the world. I can really speak to comedy television.
Uh-oh.
So I would say those pitches tend to be, I think you better be wrapping it up by about 20 minutes for sure. It's really hard to maintain a tremendous amount of interest past 20 minutes, I find. Now, I understand that for dramas, it's definitely longer for that. And a pitch can go certainly twice that long. But, short and pithy is good, and leaving time for whoever you're pitching to ask questions that you're prepared to answer. So there's a two-way engagement. That's always a winning strategy too. Rather than bending somebody's ear for a long time and then leaving, that doesn't necessarily bode well. So, it really helps to leave some gaps and to say, what do you want to hear more about? What caught your fancy? So shorter is better than longer, and make sure that you get into a two-way engagement in the pitch with the person you're pitching to.
Make it a conversational type of pitch. Yeah. Thank you.
I completely agree. It's like 15 to 20, and then the rest is conversation, and don't stay over 30 minutes.
Yeah, and actually you have to catch, you really need to convey it within the first 5 minutes. So this has been a great exercise for everyone here, certainly. I think, like Dr. Kaplan said, I mean, pretty much within 5 minutes whether or not that's going to work, I would say.
Great, thank you. So in terms of different genres, I mean, is there different points of emphases with different genres, or is there, in terms of your strategy and making your pitch, is there a slightly different approach based on if you're doing a comedy versus drama versus, unscripted or versus a Western? Just kind of curious there if there's any differences there.
I have to remember to be funny in a comedy pitch because I'm so focused on, I'm nervous, so that takes away a lot of the humor because I'm like, this is serious damn business, but it's like, wait a minute, I'm being too heavy here. I'm supposed to be funny. Not that you have to perform, you know what I mean? But definitely they have to see the humor in what you're talking about in the pitch. So if they're not chuckling a couple times in the pitch, and it's a comedy, yeah, maybe you need to add some stuff to it to make folks laugh. But it's a hard balance, because I feel like you, and again, I'm new at this, but I feel like you don't want to be in there like yana dana dana, like you're not a comedian necessarily, but you want to be able to bring out the comedy in the material, in how you're talking about the material, so they can see what's funny about it in the moment that you're pitching it.
That's a terrific point. You should have a couple of jokes preloaded from character and circumstance, to make sure that you get off on a good foot. Because if you're 5 minutes in and nobody's laughed yet and it's a comedy, not good. But I do think, just generally speaking, I think comedies are more verbal pitches than dramas, and dramas tend to need the presentation to really be tight. Just because they're more visual, and they need to understand what the look of the show is, what the visual tone of the show is. That's much more important than it really is in comedies. Now, this is a gross generalization. Sitcoms are different than single cameras, which are different than, concept comedies or period comedies. So it really all depends. It's whatever you need to get the thing across and be interesting, and so don't let the tail wag the dog. Don't think you have to go in with certain kinds of presentations. Figure out what it is you're trying to convey, and let that be the guide.
It's there. What about differences between, a series that's going to be, streaming or something, versus maybe, something that's going to be on cable or broadcast television, that's going to have a pilot episode and all that, that's going to be your initial focus? How is the process different in that particular case? Or is it really that different?
It's not particularly different. Netflix they don't do pilots, they do prototypes, but it's a pilot, so it's a proof of concept, one episode. I don't know. It's a great question. See, a lot of that depends too, in the real world, of whether you have talent attached, which gets into sort of a different packaging discussion. If you have talent attached, then you're going into pitch usually for more than one episode. You're pitching a series, and that's a slightly different pitch than if you don't have talent attached and you're trying to get somebody interested in that concept. Those are two different things as well.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything else to share on that topic? What about, are there any, stories that you might have of pitching disasters? I mean, I think we all, have things that we'd like to replay that we're like, oh, I can only do that over again. Just wondering what your experiences are. But Dave, I understand that you have a good one. I see you chuckling there.
I've got so many good ones, I don't know where to start. Once there was an earthquake in the middle of a pitch. So I was about 25 seconds into the pitch and the place started shaking and everybody was under the tables. And that'll really test your concentration when everybody wants to start again. And I started that pitch again. It was at Fox, I think, in the mid-90s. And I got about a minute and a half into it and there was another aftershock. And I just thought, God does not want me to sell this show for some reason. I don't know why, but but the good news is I did eventually sell it. I think everybody just wanted to get the hell out of there, maybe, but I did sell that show. But I'll let somebody else chime in with other disasters, but I've got others.
I want to say, I want to be respectful of, we'd love to hear them all, obviously. And I'm having a really good time with this, but we want to be respectful of your time, of the judge's time, and we are actually out of time. So I wonder if we could prevail upon you to do what we had planned, which is to perhaps take a question or two from the students who are wanting to engage with you and hear anything from you. So if you are a student, a ticketed student, and you have a question, please feel free to raise your hand. And if not, we're going to, as I say, we're a little bit over time here, and we're going to go and we're going to announce the winners, which we have. So maybe that's a little too tantalizing to let, I do have, I'm going to let Stuart ask a question. You should be able to unmute yourself, Stuart.
Yeah, I did. Hi, everybody. First of all, just thank you all so much for being here tonight. It's fantastic, and I'm so glad you guys all are impressed and also see room for improvement in all our pitches. It's great. I had a question on characters because I've heard mixed things about this. I really like to get really, really deep into my characters, and I've had some other people tell me as well that, like, going in too deep drags things out, and that sometimes you just need to start off with what's the first impression of what everyone sees, and then you see how they build up as things go on. So I guess my real question is, how much development would you say is too much development for characters in a pitch?
I'll jump in. If I think it's best actually to be brief with that, because one of the things that's helpful that I saw a lot of people did not do, which sometimes is helpful, is to mention an actor that you think could play the character, because that is a common way of everybody picturing the same type of person. And a lot of times that choice informs the character and saves you some work in the pitch. So I think it's best to do a quick sketch of the character, really talk about what the character wants, what the character is just willing to go to the mat for, and what their greatest fears are, and hit a few of those simple things that make that character relatable. And then if I know that it's, George Clooney, or whether it's Christopher Mintz-Plasse, it makes a big difference in what I'm picturing. Because a lot of times the person you're pitching to isn't picturing the same person that you're picturing. So keep it brief, keep it meaningful, and maybe use an actor to help bridge the gap between you and whoever you're pitching to.
Agreed. I mentioned character relationships before, and to me, as long as it's brief, what you pull out of that character, we can automatically see how they will be in line with or out of line with your main character, would be helpful, just so that we can see where this is going to get interesting, just based on how you describe the supporting characters. And then if you can throw an in sentence of that character about how they relate to that main character, just so we're clear, as that brief description is helpful. So again, so it's not this sort of floating character that we don't understand how it plays in the world. You describe who they are, but you also mention how they, help or prevent the main character from moving forward. Just mention that, just so that we can stay grounded in what that character means to the show.
Great advice. Sell relationships.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, on that note, first of all, thank you so much, Felicia. On that note, Professor Holmes, unless you want to take another question from the crowd, again, we're a little over time, and we are ready on our end to conclude the contest. If I see now there's one more.
Whichever you prefer. I mean, we could do one more question, or we could go ahead and wrap now. It's up to you.
I know you had a couple more on your slate. Do you want to ask one more while we have the judges here?
Sure. We can do that. What about, since obviously this is an event sponsored here on our virtual campus here, but is there anything we can do in our curriculum, you feel, to better prepare students for the realities of the marketplace, or any types of either courses or content that would be advisable to include?
Do you guys have rewriting classes?
Rewriting classes?
Nobody does, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Not at UCLA where I went. I mean, I still approach rewrite sometimes like, and I don't know if a class would have helped that, or if I still would have felt that way. I'm not sure, but I like to blame it on UCLA and say, if they gave me a class, I wouldn't feel this way, damn it.
That's a great suggestion. Because that's not something we offer right now, but that's something to consider.
Nobody really has it much, so you're not failing by no means, because I'm just saying it'd be good if schools had it.
One of the students is, one of the competitors actually is telling us that they do have one at the Fullerton program.
So you're winning. You're already winning.
All right. Well, thank you so much, all of you. Thank you so much, Professor Holmes. And speaking of winning, I think everyone's sitting on pins and needles right now, and we do have our announcements of our winners for tonight. Judges, thank you so much for everything that you shared. I will tell you before I announce this is incredibly close competition. And I think that speaks to what all of the judges said was the shared was the, I think, surprisingly high level of work that was shared this evening on behalf of all the finalists. So I want to say that we are honoring both the mentor and the student together. I think you'll be contacted regarding your prize package within the next couple of days. But we will start, it's like Miss Universe here. We will start with our third runner-up, who is actually an MFA student from Fullerton, and that is Stacia Robbins for Ungodly, along with Joe Vogelsang. So if we could, some applause for them.
Thank you so much.
And what you have won, so you know, is a CSU logo related prize package along with an iPad, brand new iPad.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
So congratulations. Our second runner-up is a CSUN student, a graduate student, and that is Sarah Chang Todayan for The Second Sex. And along with the Knowlers, the couple powerhouse alumni couple of CSUN who mentored her, and you will also win CSU local items along with an iPad. And drum roll, please. Our winner for the evening is, of course, our mentor, his mentor, David Eilenberg, along with Avery Fox for, I'm so I'm gonna cry. Thank you. Congratulations, huge congratulations to both of you for the work that you turned out together. It was obviously an incredibly competitive field. And what you have won is this CSU logo prize package along with a MacBook Air to create all of your new projects on and on behalf of all of us. Once again, thank you to the judging panel, to all of you students and the mentors and everyone who contributed to make this event work, and as wonderful of an evening as it was to share together. I feel like I personally will remember it for a long time.
Congratulations, everybody. Well earned. Everybody did a great job.
Thank you.
Congrats. Everyone's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.